Hello everybody, this is Jill the Private Investigator and I am back. Sorry guys, I took a little hiatus. I got sick, but I'm doing better. I hope that you guys were able to possibly catch one of the two lives that Zavgirl and I did. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. Hopefully you guys will tune in and join the conversation so we can bounce ideas off each other on different cases. So let's get started on Barry Morphew. Yes, he's joined a new club. We'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to talk about quite a few things here in the last, 4 or 5 days. We've seen that he's put his house up for sale. Well, Barry Morphew did join a new club. By doing so, he is now in a club of men that have had their spouse come up missing. Now, let me just go ahead and tell you the club members so far. Now, these are just the big cases that are in the news. I'm sure there are plenty of others, but I'm sure you guys can, you know about these cases, so you'll understand. So he joined a club of men that are missing their wives. This club now consists of Barry Morphew, Scott Peterson, Josh Powell, Chris Watts. All four of them have either put their house up for sale shortly afterwards, after their wife had gone missing, or contacted a realtor to try to sell it, or did sell it, like Josh Powell. So I'm sure that if anybody's watching that knows Barry, pass on my congratulations to him for joining the club. I'm not sure exactly what the initiation is or if there's club dues, but it looks like Barry's got the money to pay him. So welcome to the club, Barry. I'm sure you're proud of that one. Now, I know, guys, I'm getting ugly. I hate doing that. And I try so hard. I really do, I promise. I try really, really hard to give this man the benefit of the doubt. With his actions, their lack of, his words, their lack of, they all push me towards looking at him. Obviously, there's a lot of us that are. Now, I also wanted to talk about Barry Morphew doing an interview with, was it CBS 4, I believe? I will link it down below. He did an interview, and he, of course, was coming out and screaming, "Where's my wife?" Begging for someone to help him and telling about the places he'd searched, what he had done so far, and, all of his efforts and how he desperately missed her and wanted her back. And, yeah, I'm sorry. Oops, I'm just kidding. No, he didn't. Again, Barry Morphew in the news, one of the few times, and what's he doing? He's defending himself. Are you kidding me? You know what? I swear, if this man is not guilty, I sure hope he writes a handbook for other people that have a spouse that go missing on how not to act, and document every word he has said, every action he has taken, and every action he's not taken. So he could teach them what not to do. It's just crazy that, all right, no, yeah, he makes it hard. And again, no cameras. No cameras, again. Oh boy, oh boy. Why? Why wouldn't you want to be on camera? If there's a chance that your wife is out there, why wouldn't you want to be on camera screaming, "Hey, Suzanne, if you can see this, sweetheart, I'm still looking for you and I won't stop"? No, it's Barry defending himself. So what we can take away from this is if you anger Barry Morphew or hit a nerve with him, you will get a defense response from him. Instead of an interview, it's just no pleas for Suzanne again. It's all about Barry's convincing statements. Very seldom does this man ever convey any information. It's always trying to convince people of what I guess he's saying he has not done. He talks about the phone records and the search warrants. It was almost like I'm a stand-up guy, and since my wife is gone, I turned all of that over to law enforcement. I gave them all the phone records, told them, come on in and search. Did you, or was it warrants? You know, there's a difference because you really don't have an option with a warrant. So that doesn't prove to me not a damn thing. It doesn't mean you're a stand-up guy looking for your wife. I'm sorry, it just tells me that you had to abide by a search warrant, like many other people. Now, also, I wanted to talk about the rumor with his phone. I've heard that Barry Morphew had 2 phones and turned in, I guess you would say, a phone that he wouldn't have anything incriminating on is what has been insinuated. Whether that's true or not, I have absolutely no idea, but it sure wouldn't surprise me for the simple fact that Morgan Gentile was fired directly after turning over her phone to law enforcement, to CBI. I don't understand why he would be upset by that. She's complying, doing as they ask, and trying to find your wife. Your wife. They're trying to get information to find her. And now, so Morgan Gentile's fired after the phone. But he's a stand-up guy and turned over his phone records with a warrant, I'm assuming. I know there's a warrant for the house, so it's not like he told him, hey, come search. So, yeah, it makes me wonder about why he fired her and what was so important with those phones. But we'll also link that together and get more in detail with that in a little bit. Whew, I'm out of breath. I tell you, I'm sorry. I get worked up talking about this. I really do. And I think it's just for the simple fact that it drives me crazy that this man is doing everything that you probably shouldn't do and then screaming, hey, leave me alone. I didn't do anything. It gets me worked up a bit, to say the least. Okay, now, I also wanted to talk about the cards and the letters. Now, or the letter. I'm assuming the letter was for Valentine's Day, considering it came in February. All right, I have to be honest about this. I just have to be real about it and tell you what I'm thinking. And it may upset people, but this is just what it is. I want to say that what was written in that letter is basic. What I would consider, I may be wrong and I may get chewed up in the contents and spit out or in the comments, but it seems that everything that Suzanne lovingly wrote in that letter were things that most married men that love their family do. So it seemed, I don't know, it just didn't seem like she had said anything extraordinary about him. That's exactly what I want to say. She didn't say anything extraordinary about him. It was, when I was in labor, having our children, you rubbed my back and, were there for me. And so, yeah, though it doesn't sound very extraordinary to me. I'm not saying anything negative towards Suzanne as if Suzanne had done something. I'm just saying that those are things that meant a whole bunch to her and obviously made her heart swell. But they are pretty, like I said, typical things. Don't seem extraordinary. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to be too ugly and rude towards poor Barry. But, I mean, it is what it is, guys. I don't know why I feel bad about saying some of the things I do, and we're just talking about the truth. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to talk about the truth. Now, these letters also in the card. Where's Barry's card and letter from Valentine's Day? That would say a lot more than her expressing her love to him. We can see through pictures, people's testimony about Suzanne, that Suzanne was a great, loving person. So, we would expect that out of her. But we don't see any Mother's Day gift or card. We don't see, and people have said, why would he buy her a Mother's Day card that wasn't his mother? No, it wasn't his mother, but it was the mother of his children. So, where's his Valentine card and letter? That would be a little bit more telling and interesting to read. So, yeah. Barry is more convincing statements of, look, I think he's trying to say, look at the love that we had or have. But in reality, it's saying, here again, see how much Suzanne loves me? What about you loving her? We want to see you loving her. We know she loves you. There was never a question in that. So, yeah, you aren't the one missing. So, yeah, we're kind of wondering, where's your stuff? Where's your stuff at? Well, why is hers so important for us to read? He also said that he feels as if now she has been abducted. Now, let's think about that for a second. If he truly believes that she has been abducted, why in the world is he doing these videos without, or audios, or interviews, should I say, without doing any kind of video to say, like, again, Suzanne, sweetheart, I am here looking for you until the bitter end. I love you. Don't give up hope. We hear none of that. How heartbreaking would it be for her if she was abducted and she was able to watch TV, like the girls that were kidnapped and held prisoner in Cleveland by Castro. Castro was his last name. Can't remember his first name. Guess it's not important, but those girls were able to watch television and saw their mothers pleading for their return. It gave them hope and strength to keep going so that they would hopefully make it to come home. And to know that their family members are really out there pushing and fighting hard for them. And we just don't see that with Barry. So if she was abducted, where are your messages to her? Honey, stay strong. Stay strong. We're fighting for you. No. Again, his actions. No. Oh boy. So he also feels as if she's not in the area. I think coming from someone who has a missing wife or a missing anybody to say, I feel like she's not in this area. Well, what makes you so sure? Unless you were the one who put her somewhere else and you know that, I can't imagine anything assuring me to the point where I feel satisfied and I don't want to go look. I would think that you would probably end up going back to the same places over and over again. Now, think about this. What the sheriff said to Andy Morphew when Andy requested the information of where they had searched and where his vehicle had been, so they would hit those points. They would be big areas, most important areas to search. And the sheriff told him, when he told him that he wasn't going to give him the information, he said, even if I gave it to you, would you feel satisfied with that answer? Or would you still want to go back and look? Makes sense, doesn't it? And so you look at Andy, who's truly grieving and looking. That made sense to Andy. So why in the world wouldn't that make sense to Barry and him, question everything? I don't know where she's at, but I'm going to keep looking. And you hear about the fire chief saying that he was staring out the window, hoping to see her in the window or out the window. Now, really, he's so not certain that he's looking out the window, but now he's certain that she's not anywhere in that area in a mountainous terrain. He's certain. That bothers me also terribly. How are you certain? Now, we already spoke about the Morgan Gentile turning her phone in, but Andy said that Morgan Gentile had said that she heard Barry Morphew's truck at 4 a.m. out her window. And she thought, oh gosh, I got to get going. I'm late. I got to hurry. Maybe not know what time it was, scrambling. And then she got, I think it was a text from Barry Morphew stating that they were going to go ahead or for her to go ahead and go on to the site that they were working on and that he was leaving. Now, it was at 4 a.m. I thought he left Suzanne at 5 a.m. So Andy was pointing out those inconsistencies, and then he mentioned that the EVI information to his truck did not match up to his story. Well, that's a whole different story now. If we're talking about phone calls that are not adding up to his story now, or is it one situation to where his truck information also didn't match that story? And that may be why Morgan Gentile was fired, and because she turned her phone over. Because he didn't want them to know he was out at 4 a.m., was that the vehicle information? But I tend to feel like it was two different incidents by the way that Andy had spoken about it. Now, of course, we also have to wonder, where Andy is getting his information. Is it from FBI or CBI? Excuse me, I'm grabbing my papers. Or is it hearsay? I'm assuming he would have heard this from FBI or CBI. I can't imagine them lying to him about it. So I tend to take what he says, maybe not as gospel, but pretty close to it and pretty close to the truth. Who else would know more than Andy? I mean, he's been questioned. He has spoken to him. So, I don't know. Now, also, I want to speaking of Andy. Now, the family within a couple of months had pretty much, they hadn't come right out and said it at that time, but they were insinuating that maybe they thought it was Barry. Now, Andy seems pretty convinced that it's Barry. My question is, what was that family dynamic for Andy to, within a couple months go, ooh, this is bad. I think my brother-in-law did this. It makes me wonder, was there some kind of situation or incident that happened to where he had maybe, this notion in his head of what he had experienced before, and now with this, it makes you wonder, because you look at the Lacey Peterson case, and her family was very quick in the beginning to say, no way, Scott didn't do this, he wouldn't do this. They knew him on a different level, I guess you would say. So I want to know how they knew Barry to think that he may be guilty of doing something, whatever it may have been. Now, speaking of Andy again, we hear Barry Morphew stating that Suzanne's family was not around and that they were not very close to her during her surgery and stuff. I think that's pretty ugly to say, but whatever. Now, this came out after Andy had already said that the landline was taken out of the home shortly after they move in. How did Barry expect them to get a hold of her with spotty cell service and no landline? Smoke signals? Really? So Andy said when he could not get a hold of Suzanne, he would get a hold of Barry. I'm assuming where he had reception and was on a job site somewhere. And he would ask about Suzanne and tell Barry to please have Suzanne call me back. Well, I guess the messages never got relayed because Andy never received a response. So now after Andy had stated this, now we hear Barry saying her family wasn't around. Well, how come? Why weren't they around? Was it because they had roadblocks in their way? I can't imagine this family not being able to afford a landline in their home. What would be the purpose of taking a landline out? Especially with a sick wife. Why wouldn't you keep it in there in case someone has to call 911? You don't know what would happen. So here we go again. Now, I wanted to bring something up about the Facebook requests that were sent out at midnight to Andy's friends. I've thought about that and thought about it. And, I personally, if Barry Morphew is guilty, because we don't know that yet, if he is guilty, I look at it as staging. But I wanted to ask this question. Why was it only men? Why weren't there any women that were requested to be a friend? It was all men. And I don't know, it just makes me wonder, was it because they were Andy's friends and Andy's a male, or was it to insinuate that Suzanne may have been trying to contact Andy's friends at midnight? That, I don't know. So, just a question. You guys can leave comments. Let me know what you think about that. Why only men? Now, we all know about this sloppy, last-minute, thrown-together job on Sunday, on Mother's Day. I think that says it all right there. I mean, I don't know. It's just a huge, huge red flag to me. Now, also, the time that Barry got home. When did he get home? Where was he all that time driving from Denver? What was that, 3-hour drive? And he said that he got the news at 5 p.m. And 911 records show that she was reported missing at 6:46. He called his crew to tell him that she was missing, and he had a family emergency at 6:30 to let him, I guess, know what was going on after he told him he had to leave. But now he said that he had gotten home at 9 o'clock once. He said he got home at 6. Now, if he got the news at 5 p.m., there's no way he could have made it home at 6. And if they didn't discover she was missing until then, maybe he got his time mixed up. But at one point, he had told Fox News that he got the information that she was missing when he was on his way home. I don't know whatever happened with that story. Now, this dumpster situation, my goodness, oh my goodness. Now, the little, I guess you would call it like a country type store that they had there in their small little area that was in town, on Tuesday after Mother's Day, so 2 days, 48, almost 48 hours later, that's when they find Barry Morphew going through the dumpster at the store. Now, when asked and approached about it, he said, "I'm looking for a baby blue bike helmet." You're looking for what? A baby blue bike helmet? What about that 5'4", 135-pound, sandy blonde-haired woman that had your children? What about her? Is she curled up in the helmet? I mean, oh, dude. This is why I get so worked up. I'm looking for a baby blue bike helmet. Holy cow. So, scratch Suzanne. We're looking for the helmet. We found the bike. Now we just need to find the helmet so I can resell it. I mean, what? I mean, he's not going to, I just added that in. He's not going to resell it. But I mean, it just sounds so off the wall and crazy. And by the way, guys, I hope that you all have stayed in this video long enough. I know I get long-winded and I'm almost done, but I hope you've stayed long enough. I heard a rumor today, I read a rumor today in one of the groups that Barry Morphew has sold Suzanne's vehicle. I hope to God that's not true. I really do. Because the first thing that comes to my mind is, holy cow, Scott Peterson, are you joking me right now? Is he looking at his playbook if this is true? What? Oh, jeez. Now, I took a quote from Nancy Grace. It was so funny when she was talking about the dumpster part. She said, why would he be looking in a dumpster if he thought a mountain lion got her? Good point. I don't know. Maybe that mountain lion is a pretty clean fella. I also want to add that, let me make sure of the numbers here. There have only been 27 fatal mountain lion attacks in North America, okay? We're not just talking about Colorado or the U.S. We're talking about North America. 27 in the last 100 years. Wow. Okay, so mountain lion are struck by lightning. You know, I mean, the chances are, I hope to God that Barry Morphew comes forward and tells what he knows. I have a feeling he knows more. I'm pretty convinced he knows more. I just wish he would. Actually, I wish he'd reach out and talk to me. I won't even put his face on here if he wants. I mean, he can wear a Scooby-Doo mask as far as I'm concerned. Whatever. But I don't know, I got so many questions. I'm sure that CBI and FBI have many questions. Oh, that was another thing I forgot to mention. Hold on a second. He claims also that he doesn't have an attorney. That was one of his convincing statements also, along with showing the card and the letter. And yeah, he is, I forgot what in the world I was even talking about. But it was something to do with what he was showing on there, and I swear it's completely left my brain. And it was something I wanted to mention so bad to you guys. Maybe it's on this one. But anyway, it had to do with his stuff. If I think about it, I'll throw it in another video. His claims of no attorney. Now, I want to list all the things that I picked up on. Some of them kind of bleed into each other and maybe might not be separate categories, but I want to list the things in that interview that he did 4 or 5 days ago. His convincing statements, the love. He's trying to convince you of that by showing her love, not his. The card, the letter, he spoke with law enforcement for 30 plus hours. And unless he got an attorney and claimed, or, said, I don't want to speak and exercise his Miranda rights, I don't know. I guess maybe he really didn't have a whole lot of a choice. What are you going to say when your wife goes missing? No, I'm not going to speak to you now. That would have looked even more obvious, and I don't think he's quite that dumb. So, yeah, I just think that him speaking with them wasn't necessarily heroism at all. But he tries to make all this out as his heroism, giving phone records and search. Well, we all know there were search warrants. Barry, you didn't have a choice, brother. So all of these different things that he's thrown in there. Now, there's a lot of convincing going on, guys. But I've kept you here long enough. Someone left a comment in one of my last videos that said it was so long. And I warned you. It was in the original video under the description. I had to redo it for the volume. But I said, hey, I told you I got winded. And I forewarned you. So the sympathy is lacking. But anyways, guys, I kept you here long enough. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you guys have heard or know anything pertaining to this case or any other cases, hit me up. Send me an email, comment, whatever you need to do. But I look forward to reading the comments, guys. Jill the Private Investigator. Have a great day.